I asked you endlessly for months and months and months and months and months to do one tiny thing that everybody else did, and you didn't do it. And you had no logical reason. You just didn't do it. So now I'm just genuinely.
The podcast lives on, and yet we're all here and we're all witnessing and listening to my beautiful voice. Everything's fine. Nothing had to be purchased. It's totally all right. I don't need a stupid snowball mic. You're not echoing in my mic. I have headphones on.
Well, all I know is there were problems for 2 years, so maybe in 2 years, if the problem isn't solved, I'll get some headphones.
They were fine problems. I don't think they were even that bad. Everyone got a kick out of the fart sound effect that came from my headset. So.
Yeah, no, that one time on that episode that may or may not have even been posted. That was a real good use of that. That's a good memory. That paid for itself. Memory. That was a good memory.
I'm glad it happened.
That paid for itself. I mean, you also wouldn't hear the echo in my microphone if someone else was streaming. So.
I mean, you could get a new laptop too, I guess.
Hey, I mean, I don't need a new laptop. I just need headphones.
Well, apparently I'm the designated streamer. I didn't know I was tasked with this.
No, because I mean, like I've been doing it pretty consistently for the past like 5, so like it just fucking doesn't matter. Whoever is the dedicated streamer at the moment is the dedicated streamer.
Okay, well that's fine. You just need to get some headphones on. It's cool.
Yeah, all right. Well, we'll worry about that later.
Did you start with us bickering?
Yeah, no, I decided to start with the bickering there. I wanted to open it. I opened it on me just like telling the world just how much of a piece of fucking garbage you are. Just like that's all I had to do.
That's good. You're winning. You're giving yourself points for the.
I've been jabbing at you and just proving you wrong on run times and shit. I've been jabbing you all day, dude. I know that I'm true. I know that I'm screwed already because I'm just you just can't handle the truth today. So like when you call in a truth teller,
anecdotal evidence the entire time. I have been using statistics, and they are still on my side.
Yeah, and you read that article. Anyway. You read the article, and then you quit arguing. So anyway, we're doing funny games, right? Like fun and games. It's called Fun and Games.
We're doing Funny Games 1997. Did you watch the 1997, Dwayne?
Yes,
Grant?
no, and I only watched.
Not Dwayne.
Oh, okay.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Brand, what order? Because they're
basically the same.
I just watched.
Same.
I know. Well, that was kind of why I wanted to talk. That was I know that like we're going to be mainly talking about the 1997. The reason I wanted us to watch the 2007 American is just because like it's a Ship of Theseus type of thing where it's like they're exactly the same and also very, very different. So I was kind of curious about how you guys thought about that.
I mean, the entire time that I spent watching the American remake was the few minutes before you called me and started yelling at me. So I was in the middle of watching it, and then you started. So I only watched like 5 minutes of it, and it literally does look like a shot-for-shot remake. But I could already tell there would be some slight differences because Tim Roth was there.
Yeah, and Naomi Watts.
Yeah, I don't really give a shit about Naomi Watts as much. Like she's fine, but like Tim Roth, hell yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
It's
I don't know. What do you think?
All they really changes is like small stuff for the setting. Like you change Rolfie, the German Shepherd.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that the phone, the cell phone, looked different.
I mean,
yeah, architecture of the house. I also feel like in the 1997, did the neighbors show up like with the home, like those guys
with the murder boy? Yeah, no, he did because they were in the yard when he called to them, and then they came over, and then I don't know, did it show exactly what happened
there?
Because like he showed up with the young lad, and he said, "Oh, this is my nephew" or whatever. And then did it show what happened to him? Like I don't think it showed it at all. He just was gone all of a sudden.
It didn't show what happened to him. I didn't watch the 1997 one as recent. Like I skimmed through the 1997 one just today, and then I watched the American one like yesterday or so. So like, I that's the one I'm more familiar with at the moment. But like, you didn't see at all what happened to that guy. You just see them, spoiler alert, dead like later on in their house when the kid finds them. So. Oh,
the kid found them? I thought the kid just found the little girl that got murdered earlier.
Maybe that's what it was.
I think that was the little girl because that was all set up earlier when he's like, "Where's Susie? Where's Susie?" or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so there really isn't a
They
difference.
hated this fucking movie. Yeah, they just fucking straight up killed like, man, the kid
Everybody, like they were
killings,
probably
dude.
gonna kill every fucking person in every one of those fucking beach houses, like
They
eventually.
were just making their way down the shoreline.
Yeah, and who knows how many they
Um,
already got, but they at least got like 1 or 2 families before them.
Okay, well, before we actually describe the movie, I guess I'll start with Brant. What did you think of this movie, Brant?
I fucking hated it.
You
I
fucking
just
hated it. Why?
despised it. Yeah,
Why
did you
hate it?
uncomfortable in every single way. It wasn't a fun experience.
I
It was-
despised the
I was
entire
happy.
experience of watching it, but when it ended, I was like, okay, I get what they were doing. But I knew that it was gonna be something I would think about, and it was something that would stick with me. But like, it was gross while watching it. But like after finishing it, I was like, yeah, I get it. I like that. Like I hated it while watching it, but I liked it after I finished it.
Like normally, I'm just such a paranoid type of schizophrenic dude that like the moment they started walking in, I noticed like, oh hey, look at that, they're wearing gloves.
Yeah,
They're
no,
looking
and
around, they're
nobody.
keeping the joint all weird.
She
They're
didn't
like finding where all the weapons are. They're breaking her phone. This is crazy. They're gonna kill her.
Well, and that's one of the funny things about watching a foreign movie too, is like, because you guys were watching also the American version, but I was like watching the foreign thing. I was like, oh, I guess they just wear gloves over. It is Germany. Like, I guess they.
I
Just...
mean, they're golfing.
yeah, no. Also, you
there's a
grabbed
golf
some
league.
golf clubs, so I was like, oh, I guess they're
vinyl
golfer
gloves.
boys. So I don't know.
They weren't
Yeah.
golf gloves. They were vinyl gloves. Like
Yeah, but they
Sure,
looked
they were.
enough like golf clubs.
No, they weren't. No, those are
They
golf
were.
gloves, Brant.
you can see it at the
No,
end,
they
like
weren't.
after they push her off, they clean them in like like when they're tying her up before they kill her in the canoe. You can see them like
Uh-huh.
washing the blood off of it. It's just a vinyl.
It could
It's
be
just-
leather.
Nope, it's surgical. It's too thin. You can even see his skin underneath it.
Oh, really? Because they looked
Yeah.
like they were
I-
kind of. That makes more sense for what they were doing.
I don't know. I feel like they were too thick. Like they're pretty
your
puffy
fingers-
looking gloves.
Your fingerprints actually will bleed through like leather gloves and stuff. And so due to like the oils, you have to like wear surgical gloves if you're gonna do sneaky breaky shit like this and fucking kill a kid in
Okay.
front of his parents.
Yeah, well, that's still immaterial because like them trying not to get caught never really like factors into this. They never really seem like they're worried about anything. They never seem like they're like nothing about them getting caught ever seems to enter their brain. Like that's not. I wouldn't. I like if they're wearing.
I don't
if they're
think that-
wearing,
well,
like,
because-
surgical gloves. That's one thing.
Well, yeah, I guess that's a good point. Like, because they don't need to hide their fingerprints or anything. Because, like, if
Yeah.
they can just hit rewind, you know, like
No, yeah, that's why.
as soon as you
I think-
realize
I
that
don't
they're
know, maybe
just the
they use-
movie, you know, I think it's honestly just a good character costume thing because they're like wearing like white from head to toe or whatever. So like, it's just a good character costume thing to have them wearing gloves. It's just you immediately know this guy's up to no good.
Is it Tom?
Yeah.
Tom's the black-haired one. I think he's the only one like not wearing just full white because he's got like navy blue bitch boy shorts on.
I just like it was just such it really was just like a gross experience to sit through.
Yeah,
because like just like
it's
fucking.
it's funny you call him Tom too, because their names change throughout the like they call each other Peter and Paul and Tom
Yeah,
and
Tom,
Jerry and
yeah,
Beavis
and
and
it's like-
Butthead.
Yeah, no,
Like,
they
you
it's a
never
joke.
really
It's a
merge.
joke to them. Like that's fucking.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Like that was the problem I had. The biggest problem I had watching it is like I have such a like when I watch like Holocaust movies or whatever. I'm just like, yeah, I'd tell those Nazis to fuck off or whatever. You know, like I'm just like I have such a strong urge to just like tell whoever is the captor, fuck you, man. But if you got your son there and your knee is broken and you can't do shit about it and they're just making a joke out of it, like that is the most frustrating experience I could personally imagine myself going through. Like that would really that would get in my
I mean,
grades.
and that's not even the worst part of the joke. It's like the constant, just like they break his knee and then they're like, oh, but don't. Be careful though. Don't get up too fast. Like,
God,
let's apply some pressure. Like just the constant little like bullshit that they do this throughout the movie where they're just like acting. They never break routine. They never like break their characters of being.
There was
nice.
one point that they kind of did, and it was
Was it when Tubby was crying?
no, I think
Because like that was part of the
was an
gag
act.
too. That was part of the gag.
Yeah.
It was when Georgie has the gun, I think, and you can like kind of see him like, oh, and he stops. He goes like,
Yeah.
well now.
No, because he
Hold
knew
it.
the gun wasn't loaded. He wasn't scared at all.
No, it was when it was. I
Yeah,
think
no,
it's
he knew
when-
it
I
wasn't
mean,
like that. Was that? I felt like
the
that was
mask
really set up.
slips- I would say the mask slips when like Tubby gets killed.
Yeah,
When
that's
he
the
gets
only
shot,
time I
you
think the
see-
mask slips is when Tubby gets killed. Like, 'cause-
Yeah, you see something genuine there. I also think like there's funny little moments where like they maybe stop the routine for a second where it's like they do the thing where it's like he'll be asking her, "Can you do this? Can you do this?" And then he just like, I think he's like, "Can you sit down on the couch?" He's like, "Can you sit down?" Like he says it really nicely, and then he just pushes her down on the couch. You know, like it's like they'll do the nice thing maybe twice, and then they just like act like, you know, they just do the home invader kind of thing. Like it's.
Here's a
Dad's
question.
name?
What?
What was the dad's name again? Because I think that's
George.
like when they broke.
That was George 1, and then there was George Jr.
George, and then there's Georgie.
Georgie.
Well, no, they were both George. He just called him Georgie because he's a fucking piece of shit.
Shot him in the head.
Well, dude,
like referencing like, haha, both all the men in your life are dead now. It's your fault. But that was also like after she left, and they like bound and gag her back. That's when it actually did break, because that's like when they were like mad and angry.
Dude, that like 20-minute section where they like fucking suffer there for a bit and they try to go to the phone, and then like I knew they were fucking coming back, but the movie was trying so hard to just be like, nah, don't worry, they're okay, they're safe.
They might, yeah, they're fine.
Honestly, part of me felt like they should have come back in that shot, like that long 9-minute shot where she just is like goes and turns off the TV. Because like then it made sense to me on a thematic level of like, this shot is an island. This is an island of maybe there's no suffering for a little bit, and then as soon as you get they come back in at the end of that shot, because everything else that happens after that, like it gives you a little like calm moment with him and her, and like they cry on each other and there's love and all that shit, and then there's the great moment after that where she's like on the road and a car passes by and she's like, no, I can't let him see me, that's definitely them. And then she's like, fuck it, well, I missed that car, so now maybe this car's nice, and then it turns out to be them. So that was a great moment, but I really feel like you could chop out that moment and just have them come back in, because you know they're coming back. There's no way they're not fucking coming back. Like, the movie is not going to end without them coming back.
No, I like that idea. I could see that. I think they could have condensed that, and maybe then it would have gotten down to like the hour and a half.
Yeah, it would have been about 90 minutes, average movie length.
Then it would have been a short movie. Then it would have been a
that would have been an average movie length.
I do it still. Yeah, you get to about that 95 if you just cut out the beginning. If you cut out like up till after that heavy metal out of nowhere, and then the end.
I like the beginning though.
I really like the beginning.
Build. I honestly think if there's anything you could trim, it is that part where they leave. You could trim that if you wanted to, but it still works. I think it still works. And
it does work because of the payoff of the thing with the headlights.
Yeah, well, and also, Brant, you were saying how the last 10 minutes, like, you don't need to watch at all. Did you, like, I'm hoping maybe you changed your mind.
Yeah, explain, how does this movie, Brant, how does this movie end? I just want to hear from your perspective. Like, explain so, like, they're on the boat.
Shut the fuck up if you want me to tell you about it.
I'm just saying, I was giving you a starting point. They're on the boat.
They're on the boat. They're talking about matter and antimatter. She tries to cut herself free. Oh, what a sporting chance. Haha. They keep talking about it. They push her in. They drive over to another Marriott. Oh, hey, can we get some eggs? We're from Anna's house. She's inviting some guests. She just had, can I come in? And then it's fucking
okay. So, but to me, it's like, when they're talking about the matter and antimatter, that's the entire point of the movie. They summarize the entire movie in that conversation, because he's talking about matter and antimatter and how there's an alternate reality that's created out of this guy's life, and it becomes, and his entire past becomes fiction, and now it's fiction, and those people no longer exist. And and Paul, the main bad guy, says, well, why do they no longer exist? And he goes, well, because they're fiction, it's not real. And he goes, well, who says? Like, you can see it. And they exist in his mind. So what makes it not real? What makes fiction not real? And so the entire point, to me at least, when he says that, is that what makes this movie not real? What makes, like, what you're seeing right in front of you, the stories, the people, the sequence of events that you see like unfold in the movie? What makes that any less real than the reality that you see before you? And they kind of like expound on that throughout when they have like the fourth wall breaks, when they're directly like making you responsible for what's happening in the movie, like making you part of the movie, and even going to rewind the movie.
The knife coming back, the rewinding is the most obvious part, but like the knife coming back at the ending there, like that was a meta joke, because that was a Chekhov's gun. It set up the fucking knife earlier, and then the knife meant nothing, because it's going to mean nothing at that point.
Yeah. No, so like I think what I like about this movie, Brant, is that you can, like, at first maybe you can hate it as a torture porn movie, but what I like about the movie is that it actually is like it it's an anti-torture porn movie. It's actually a response to torture porn movies. It doesn't have a single frame of violence throughout the entire movie, and instead just uses like emotional trauma to like make it, like batter people into this like false sense of
and that's actually like, as much as I like seeing shit, as much as I like seeing the violence and that like does something to me or what, like genuinely seeing the kid get shot in the head would not have been as effective as watching the kid just lay there for 9 minutes.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I think that this movie despises torture porn films. Actually.
Yeah, and it made it like, and the whole thing with that character, I think the dudes were kind of just symbolizing just like torture porn filmmakers. Like, and they just look, we're torturing. Look at us.
Also interesting. That was also why I wanted you guys to watch the American remake, because I think the American remake was a big.
Oh
joke.
Yeah,
I think that was
right. I was watching that, and they kind of like flubbed up that line a little bit, where because he's like, "Why are you doing this? Just kill us already." He's like, "Well, think about the audience, the entertainment value." They fuck up that line in the American one because it's like, "Well, what about everyone who's watching?" I was like, that's not as good."
That's not as good. No, but they do say the last line, like when they're on the boat and they're talking about the antimatter stuff. They still say that exactly the same, and even though the American one doesn't work as well for me, mostly because of the actors. I think it's really funny that he just literally decided to shot for shot remake the entire movie because he despises American audiences so much that he's just like, this movie just needs to be made for an American audience. We'll put people that they recognize in, and we'll brighten up the shots, and then we'll just like force them to watch. Like, we'll make them watch it. We'll spoon feed it to them because they're dumb, and then they'll plot it and put it on top 10 lists for most disturbing torture porn movies. And it completely goes over everyone's head about what the actual like point of the movie is, which is like anti-torture porn. It's about how like violence in movies is something that's supposed to like. I like violence. To
me, the message of it was
to
me the message of it is this torture and this pain you're going through. Some fucking rich fucking upper crust filmmaker kid is just jerking off, enjoying this the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like where I just assumed that the whole bit of it's like, the depravity of the human soul knows no bounds once given the opportunity.
Yeah, and then it just
we
like
are horribly cruel creatures.
Yeah, I mean that was like bringing it into the whole like whether fiction is real thing, like makes it more along those lines. There's a lot. There's like it's definitely fun. The one I watched on HBO was a Criterion version, so it makes sense that this isn't the Criterion thing, even though it's fucking painful to watch. Like it's an interesting piece of thing.
It's not necessarily painful. God, it's just.
It was really painful for me, man. Just like fucking like. All right, so for an example, like what would you guys do in the situation where if you're the wife and they tell you you can choose who dies first and if it's a knife or a gun, what would you do in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, there's no really good choice.
Well, what I would do.
Well, you want to say the gun, but then you don't want to choose. You don't want to be like wrapped up into the game.
I think that the most moral thing to do, and I don't know if it's the most, but like I really think what I would do in that situation is I'd be like, just shoot him, because like the knife is worse for everybody. So just shoot him, and then we'll figure out what happens to me.
Yeah, but there's also there's the deeper there's the deeper meaning of engaging with their game. I guess that's like even worse almost.
Man, I kind of really didn't like
the first mistake when she was like, "Oh, we'll play Han Cole to find the dog," and it's like, "Uh-oh, you play now. You're playing the game with us," and that's why they kept choosing her for like the what was the remote game again? It was like fuck. How'd she fuck it up? I forget. Like I remember seeing her like pressing the button.
There's the cat in the bag.
The part where she has to say the prayer backwards.
Yeah, not the cat in the bag part. It was when, after they, like, kidnapped her again and she's hogtied and they give her the remote and they're like, I was like, rewind the movie to, like, exactly or something. Oh, fuck.
Is that in the American version? Because I don't remember that.
No, it's in the fucking original version.
I don't remember that. I remember them giving her the remote. The remote was their power.
Yeah, I don't remember that part either, actually.
Yeah, it's, like, right before they kill Georgie. Not the son, but the husband.
Like, when they're doing the eeny, meeny, miny, mo?
Yeah, is that what that was?
It was some German version of it, but it was eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Oh, okay. That's why I was like, what the hell is this?
No, I don't think they gave her the remote ever.
I'm pretty sure they gave her the remote. I like she was holding it, and then because she's like on her knees, just holding it in her hand. One second.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like super positive because I was like looking around. And I was like, why is she holding the remote? What's going on?
I don't know. Do you remember that at all, Dwayne?
No, I don't remember that. I don't remember that
Yeah,
at all. But like,
I have
also,
no
like, I didn't
recollection.
realize because I only watched it once. I didn't realize the significance of the remote at that point, so I might have just not noticed it. But like, you've seen
Yeah.
it both versions and
Yeah,
shit.
about
So
1 minute 35 in, and she's like, "Oh, you're not interested in playing the game with us?" That's when she's
Or an hour 35?
yeah, hour 35 is when they started up. Because the one, it's not gonna have good
wait, an
feeling
hour
causing
35
the
would have been
locals to-
around when like the final thing happened, like when he shoots or when she shoots the guy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that happens like right at 1:40. So it's like all before that. It's the game with the stupid fucking.
The funny
Yeah.
games. You know,
She's
when I
holding
when
her
I
remote.
first started watching it, I was pretty certain that it was just a bad translation. It was supposed to be silly games, but the way that it comes up in the movie and the dog bites him and he's like, she's like, he's just playing games, and he's like, oh, funny games. Like it does kind of make sense. So, I don't know. It was
Yeah.
weird to me. It
Yeah.
really does
I don't
feel
know.
like a weird translation though,
She
because
shoots
funny
him.
games is
He
not
goes,
an expression.
"Remote." She shoots him. Where's the rope? Where's the fucking remote? He clicks it back after he pushes her down, and then she grabs it again. She just kind of like she's also like pressing it, like trying to like what just happened?
What? She grabbed the remote?
After she shoots Fatty.
Oh wait.
She-
Yo, so you're saying like when he grabs the remote, she was also trying to go for the remote?
No, she wasn't trying to go for it. After he rewinds, after she shoots Fatty, he rewinds. She just kind of stares at the remote. Then as they go walk over to George, she picks it up, she looks at it, and she tries to hit the rewind button, and they shoot.
Wait, I am so confused by this because her legs were duct taped.
Oh. Yeah,
I
the
don't
remote's like
remember
just
that.
sitting on the table because he puts it down like right in front of where the gun is.
Hold on, Brant.
Are you
If we're
looking?
gonna
Are you
argue
looking
about-
at the
we're gonna
movie
argue
right
about
now,
this
Brant?
Away.
Are you
We're gonna
look?
argue about this. I'm gonna have to pull this up.
Yeah,
you're
well, that's
forcing
why
me
I'm
to
asking
pull
because the
this
way
up.
Brant's saying this is like he's looking at the movie right now, and that's what
I'm
happens.
watching
know.
it. I am watching it.
I know, and I want to trust you, but I also just don't. I also
Say goodbye to Georgie.
okay.
She was
135.
holding
I'm
her
going to
remote, right?
135. I'm going to
It's like at
135 right
140.
now.
I just
Okay,
watched like the whole sequence through when it started.
Is this the French version? Or the
Austrian.
German? I mean, Austrian.
Austrian.
Okay. That
Yeah,
okay.
so this,
So I was assuming it was Jerry's because they were speaking Jerry. And it's
no,
very
I mean,
Jerry
it's
feeling.
It's just similar.
But, Hitler was Austrian, so like the Austrians don't get
Yeah.
enough credit for being weird Germans.
Oh
Okay,
no,
I'm at the part. I'm at the part
140.
right now.
you're right. I was mistaken. It looks like she reaches for it. But it's
Okay,
just,
all right, okay. Now
Okay,
my
she's
reality
really
can go on being my reality.
because he puts
Yeah.
it down and then like it's next.
Yeah,
to
no,
her,
she.
and goes. For
Well,
it.
yeah, she goes for the gun. That's what it is.
And
Yeah,
it
she
looked
goes
like
for the
'cause he
gun,
takes
she
away
shoots
her
the guy,
hands,
and then
kinda
and then it just warps back to when she was thinking about going for the gun.
Well, no, she goes for the gun, and then he grabs it, and then that just breaks. That breaks that.
Yeah,
that
it
little
brings it back to
timeline that
before she went for the
created.
gun,
Yeah.
and then he grabs the gun out of her hand.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
It makes you wonder how many times they did that, like if that was the only time they showed them hit and reverse. It's such a frustrating movie because like the entire reason this shit happened is because they took out his kneecap. Because if Pops was there, then he could just grab one of them, the one with the golf club, and then fucking the other two could grab the other one. But if all you got is a lady and a child, like and one of them has a golf club, you're kind of fucked. Like there's nothing you can do that whole scene or that whole movie. There's nothing you can do.
And that's the whole thing. I mean, they incapacitate him. They don't even show him get hit. Really, like it's just like
No, they
a
don't.
quick
They just
second,
cut
and his
to
knee
ouch.
is shattered, and then that decides the sequence, like everything that happens throughout the entire, like the rest of the movie. And it's like, yeah, no, I mean, but also the fact that it's a golf club, like I can't think of a worse thing to get hit in the knee with, honestly, than a golf club. Like that's worse than a bat,
I mean, I can't.
probably.
Well, I was saying like, I mean, getting hit in the knee with anything, it's pretty unswell.
No,
But like
I-
a golf club has that like edge on it, so like that wouldn't be swell.
You can swing that thing fast. You can swing that thing
can,
really
but that's
fast.
like the thing too is if you miss, you just end up like fucking up your golf club.
That's why a bat. That's why a bat is better, because if you accidentally hit him with the part of the the metal part, like just the tube part of the club, that's not as big of a hit. But a baseball bat, just blam.
We're assuming that these guys are golfers, though, because they were golfing.
Obviously, you're not a golfer.
Yeah, no, we're assuming. I mean, we're assuming that they're good golfers, is what I'm trying to say. So he can make a shot. Yeah, he can hit a shot. He's not worried about missing the kneecap. That was never even an option.
And honestly, like not to judge the guy for killing the dog or whatever, but like if you put a golf ball on the ground, the dog's gonna try to bite that golf ball.
Yeah, no, that's
gonna get in the way.
Yeah, that's his fault, dude. That's his fault.
I don't believe that. Because he comes back with the club and it's not all fucked up and bent and destroyed, and it should be after he smashes his dog's skull with it.
Unless, they're real. It is established those are really good clubs.
Unless it's a really good, they're really good clubs, and he's a really good hit. He's a really good shot, Brant.
No,
I mean,
dude. Tiger Woods could beat 5 dogs to death, and you wouldn't even see a nick.
You wouldn't see anything. You wouldn't see a single fucking nick on there. No, it's true, Brant. You can, if you're lining up your shots correctly, you could take that dog's fucking head off, and you could batter that thing.
Yeah, it's a literal club. It's a weapon at the end of the day, dude. The Scottish invented this shit.
I know, but there's lots of they could have just the entire point is that they're using a golf club to incapacitate this guy because they're upper crust, rich kids that know how to golf. They're good
because
at
it was
that.
there. They scoped it out. They saw it was a weapon and they used it. And I still don't think it's correct, because you have to swing from the hip with a golf club. You can't really overswing a golf club because, like I said, they're thin. And I don't care how much structural entanglement that seems like.
Well, that's one of the nice things about not exactly showing.
It's just gonna fucking wrap around. It's just gonna smack into someone.
You could swing right down. You could start from an upper. You could start from an upper stance and swing down and get a pretty good momentum.
Well, that's one of the things that if they would have just showed the violence, we wouldn't be debating on how this happened.
Dwayne, shut up. Stop talking over me for 1 second.
Well, you were just saying how you suck at golf. That's all I was
really suck at golf. What I'm saying is I've broken clubs by just hitting the ground, and you're you could beat a dog's skull with it.
How good are your clubs? Do you have clubs that some rich kid is gonna go, oh my gosh, from across the room and say, wow, these are really nice clubs?
My dad wasn't a broke bitch like yours.
I don't have any clubs.
Yeah, that's because your dad's a broke bitch.
I mean, he doesn't golf either, so I mean,
yeah, because he's a broke ass bitch.
He doesn't know. He doesn't have
anything about golf clubs.
I don't. I'm saying that this guy has good golf clubs according to these rich kids.
In 1997, the most I'd give those things were titanium, tubed in the center or something, right? And I don't even think that was because that's not legal. You can't have titanium heads in golf.
Well, who says he's professional?
Well, because they were gonna play with those people.
That's not professional, though.
It's not a nice thing to fucking bring in a golf club that can easily hit over 100 yards by even just a woman's driving it.
Yeah, well, I mean, who knows? Maybe they all have clubs like that.
You don't know is what I'm saying.
It's their own competition. I mean, you don't know, Brand. I'm saying the fact that the golf club doesn't break after he kills the dog. I think that there's still a possibility that that's that's totally plausible. That's totally plausible, and making a big deal out of it.
I think. Well, what I'm saying is, why do you even bring it back? They should have found the golf club wrapped around the dog's neck or something when she went to go look for it. She should have seen it sticking out, bloodied and covered in fur from the bushes or something. Oh my gosh! But it's he brings.
But then that sounds. Then you ruin. Then you don't get the good. Then that sounds like a completely different movie, though.
Well, he still has an entire, tray of golf clubs. It's not like he's suddenly out of golf clubs. He can't not hit him in the knee with a golf club, because if you played golf, you would know that you bring multiple clubs to the field with you,
So was that when you were feeling really uncomfortable?
All of it. No, all of it.
Were you just really uncomfortable with the accuracy of the golf club depictions in this film?
No, I was really uncomfortable with the accuracy of how you would break into someone's house to kill them in such a realistic way to get away with it. This was oh yeah, this is how you do it. You don't want your fingerprints anywhere. Nice clean.
I mean,
clothes.
all I learned is you really need a remote that can send you back in time.
You just need to take out
that's the key. That's the key.
The dad. That's all you need to do is kill the dad first, or incapacitate him, and then you.
But then you still would have lost Tubby. You still could have lost Tubby. You still need that rewind button. You still need
Sure.
that.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, you need to kill people effectively in this world. You need magical superpower remotes.
Yeah, so it's not like I don't know, like that. The fact that that plays such a vital role in like their success, you know, like killing this family, I'd say like the rest is kind of immaterial. Dwayne, you being quiet?
I was asked to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, just stop talking over me, or if you see like both of our little circles light up.
I know. What a shame if I have a joke to say.
Well, just hold on to it.
I was just see, Brand, I can't just hold on to it because the joke was gone now. It's 70 cents.
You're not gonna. It's not gonna come.
I
out
do.
anyways, 'cause
You're
we're just
correct,
talking
Brand.
over
I
each
do.
other.
I do have a bad habit of talking over you. You're 100% correct. That's why I'm not salty about it. But it's like I had a joke.
So the movie,
Joke's gone.
The movie.
Joke's gone.
No, I mean, yeah, whatever. I'm sure it was a great joke, Dwayne. I'm sure it was amazing.
It was
I don't
an
know.
interesting
what
thought.
did you think? No, I know. What was your? So Brant hated this movie. Did you really say what you thought about this?
I said it pretty much where I hated watching it, but I really enjoyed having watched it. As soon as it ended, I felt like I was walking away with something of genuine use, like genuine import. Like even like the way the movie begins and ends, just with that terrifying ass fucking music. Like it stuck with me. Like it's got a very fucking just this is a weird thing you've never seen before vibe to it.
Yeah. Well, it feels. I guess what I like because
I liked it. I liked it a lot more than Visitor Q. For an example, to compare it to something similar, I liked it way more than Visitor Q.
For sure. Yeah. No, I like Visitor Q, and I like this a lot more. And I feel like this has that feeling of like experiment. Like it feels like an experiment on the audience, I guess. Like it feels like it's actually. Like it's kind of like cliche to say, but it actually felt like it was, challenging, like the possibilities of film a little bit.
Narrative and all that stuff and tropes and themes. It's
yeah, it was doing it in interesting. It did it in a way that was actually like meaningful, I guess. Though, like it really felt like there was thought put into what they were trying to say, like what they were trying to subvert. And I don't know, like here's something really another movie like it.
Here's something that's interesting to talk about on this movie, that like, because I didn't see the American remake, but knowing that there is an essentially shot-for-shot American remake of this movie, like, I've seen a lot of foreign movies. Like, have you ever seen Infernal Affairs, the one that became The Departed?
No.
When you watch that, you're like, okay, an American version of this makes sense. Because, like, this movie is just so fucking Asian. There's a lot of kung fu fighting. This would make more sense if you were trying to release this in America, it would make more sense with more gunfights and more slowness and more, like, talking and shit like that. It would make more sense. But when I watch Funny Games, I genuinely don't know why you would need to remake this for American audiences, because the culture is pretty much the same.
Love the idea of it.
A couple of dudes walking into your house and being weird like that is exactly the same. That comes off the exact same way it would in America. You don't need a remake of this movie, and that's why they remade it shot for shot.
That's why. Also. I think that there's like a palpable disdain for American audiences from this. Like I like this director a lot.
Yeah,
He's
they
like,
won't read. They won't fucking.
No, they won't read. Like this guy treats like the fact that they do it shot for shot, that they do everything exactly the same, and all they do is just put it in English, is just such a slap in the face to American audiences that it's hilarious to me.
Yeah, because it doesn't
I
really
think it's funny.
But like if you look at like Parasite, because it's a different time, people are more willing to watch like foreign shit. Like that's a movie that was really successful in America despite the subtitles. So like maybe if it was a different time, you could just release this in America.
That's also a monster movie, though. That's also a big monster movie. Like this is an artsy mind
Parasite
twister movie.
Parasite's not.
Oh no, shoot! I was thinking about The Host, actually.
Oh, I don't know The Host. I was just talking about Parasite.
No, I was thinking of Bong. Like I was just thinking, like, this is another Bong Joon-ho. But yeah, Parasite's, I guess, actually.
Well, and also Parasite is like more foreign. Like that one makes more sense with an American remake than fucking Funny Games does.
And that's a mind-bendy like drama too. So like, no, that's fair. I mean, there wasn't really all that much of a need to remake this as an American film, except that they just put American actors in it, made it so that you don't have to read, and made all those shots way lighter. Like that was it.
There's an old movie from a while ago, and it kind of follows the similar themes to this one too. So that's what I I thought when you first brought this one up, Funny Games, and I kind of looked at it. Shit, I'm trying to remember what it's called too. It's someone did like a Simpsons couch gag on it, but it's like the dinner or invited
My
guests
Dinner
or
with
something.
Andre?
No,
Look who's
fucking
coming to dinner, the black people movie.
stupid fucking no, not it's the one where they wear like animal masks and they
Dinner
have like
for
crossbows and
Oh.
knives and they
Are you talking? You're not talking about a fucking Eyes Wide
You're
Shut.
Next.
yeah, you're next. Isn't that
Oh.
it?
Simpsons didn't do You're Next, but it sounds like
No,
you're saying
someone
You're
else
Next.
did a Simpsons gag, like they did a Simpsons
Oh.
gag that they did in claymation on the You're Next, and like in the end
Oh,
of it,
yeah, gotcha.
it's-
Okay, yeah.
you know, they kill everyone except for I think it was like Marge is the last one left after they scalp her, and she kills like the hoodlums that break in. And, you know, like Maggie's dead after they hack her up with a machete. But very similar
That's a
in
hell
the
of a
fact that
couch
it's just
gag.
like that one though is You're Next is more of like the Americanized of this. I felt like where it
Kind
is
of.
just like hardcore. You know, grotesque violence and just like
Yeah.
the hunt. It's not like, oh god, I'm a kid and I'm just like, oh, I just recognize that I have like tracks leading to where I am. Oh, I'm so, you know, like I'm just barely getting by and then still caught.
Well-
This is like oh god, the music's swelling and I'm running through the woods and the guy,
Yeah.
crossbow arrow and then da da da.
Well, and also a lot of those movies, like a common point in those movies is about, look at this horrific violence. Isn't it horrible? Like, isn't it terrible that these people do this? Isn't this just such a disturbing and traumatizing thing? And it is kind of nice to see a movie that like actually treats the violence like it's something that's meaningful, I guess, like where it's like you don't have to get it shoved in your face to get the impact. You actually get more impact by not seeing it and dealing with like the ramifications
That's
of
the
it.
general going logic that you don't need to actually see it. But usually, in this movie is a great example of the opposite. But usually, I feel like I like seeing it. I feel like seeing it helps a lot sometimes. But that's only if you can come up with an interesting way
way.
to show it.
If your movie though is decrying violence and saying like what a bad thing violence is because it's making these characters' lives horrible, but you're portraying violence in a way that's gratifying to the audience, then you're missing the point. Like you're not using filmmaking in the right way then.
Yeah, this
You know
movie
what I mean?
totally walked the walk and talked the talk. Because like if you've ever been like in film production, like you can see like every like scene like that in that movie about how violence is bad, there had to be like an entire day or 2 days where people are like, all right, so should we make the dead baby come or not? Like, well, okay,
Yeah,
like how can we make
exactly.
it come? That come isn't right. Like there was a whole bunch of that, you know? So it's hard to say that you're decrying violence when you spent 2 12-hour days being like, oh, it's not coming hard enough.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
That must have been a weird one too for the American remake, because like they must have just had a scripty who was literally just watching the original.
Yeah, no,
while
dude,
watching them do it.
That must have been so fucking cake for the director. He was just like, I'm just gonna do it the same way. I know how it works.
Yeah, literally the shot guy was the director for that movie. He just like had to come up with he had a storyboard of all the shots from the original movie, and they're like, okay, point the camera over there.
Yep.
Do you
Point the
guys-
camera
because
over
you
there,
guys-
that looks
because you guys-
similar.
You guys both actually watched the American remake. Do you think it would have been better if they got a different director and didn't just do it the exact same way?
No, I like it. I'm happy it exists just the way it is. Actually, I think it's
Yeah.
perfect.
It's the only reason why they did it like that is just because, like I said, American audiences don't like reading subtitles. Parasite notwithstanding, back then and kind of still today, they really don't like reading them too much because, you know, the average fucking reading in this nation is like 3rd grade level or some shit.
Yeah, and we also like it's
Well,
not
they
even
had to
that
make
the
it
grade
because,
level is low. It's just people don't want to do that shit. Reading's for
Well, and
nerds.
also just like even film literacy though, even just like film literacy in this country is in like the gutter. Like just people like as like I don't know, like cinema, like media in this country isn't mature at all, and it caters to like the lowest common denominator. It caters to like your base impulses. It's always about like actual like it's manipulative gratification basically. That's what like mainstream cinema is in this country.
What's interesting?
It's quips and tits.
What's interesting about this movie though is like it's going at your base impulses of disgust and all that shit, but it's coming at it in the way that only a human being trying to tell a story can go at it. And like when you got like 70 human beings like focus grouping every single aspect of the script, then you can't do that.
Well, when you have the script and the movie already done for you, and you could just like flip a TV to your actors and be like, just do this, just do exactly this. Must be a little easier, right?
That seemed was it were the performances?
The thing that I don't like the performances at the end of the day, like, are my biggest problem with the American remake. Like, even though Tim Roth and Naomi Watts are fine, and I think it's mostly Naomi Watts that I don't really like, because the actress in the Austrian one is amazing. I think that lady like contorts her face into like,
she was perfect. She looked
like,
she was just sorrow and
she has
shame.
so much pain. She had like a Shelley Duvall face where her face just becomes like horribly ugly. Even
she was like if Shelley Duvall was fuckable.
Shelley Duvall is kind of attractive in a weird way. At least she was. She was in The Shining. Now she looks like I don't know.
No, she wasn't. Dude, when I was a kid, I was like, what is this ugly whore in this movie? I'm trying to watch a movie.
I always thought she was kind of interesting looking.
Yeah, you would think she was interesting looking.
Well, either way, like, she was an attractive lady, but she had some of the most like grotesque like looks on her face, like when she was crying or like just
no jelly rolls though.
No jelly rolls. No jelly rolls. None whatsoever. No, but
which I don't think jelly rolls are a sign of age, which was a little. I don't think that was a discussion. Just saying.
Yeah, it's more of a sign of just like not exercising, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, they're a sign of quarter pounders.
Actually, while we're talking about her, one thing I just because it's interesting, one thing I wanted to bring up is that the couple, the husband and wife in the original movie were actually like lovers in real life, and the woman ended up committing suicide shortly after the movie, or like dying or something like that shortly after the movie. Then the guy committed suicide, and I think the guy that also played Paul. No, the guy that played Paul also committed suicide. Like, I'm pretty sure like half the cast in this movie is dead.
Well, also that's just what being Austrian is like.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. Like, this movie seems to be cursed for everyone that was like in like acting in it, because they all fucking died. I remember reading about that.
I'm glad Tim Roth's still kicking.
Yeah, no, Americans were fine. No Americans were harmed in the making of Funny Games. It was
yet again, it seems like the common denominator here is the Austrians.
It's true. That's a good point. I mean,
so if you don't want to kill yourself, just number one, don't be trans. Number two, don't be Austrian. And then you should be fine.
one of my favorite Austrians shot himself, according to like common consensus. But I still I like to believe he's an Austrian. He's in.
I heard
he's hanging out in Brazil.
I heard you say our favorite Austrian.
Our favorite Austrian.
Hashtag our favorite Austrian. It's like your favorite Martian.
Austrian. I think he's saying why I didn't say. He's pointing out I didn't say our.
He's saying that he wishes that everybody else wishes.
Our, as if you were saying everyone's favorite Austrian's Hitler, obviously.
Honestly, dude, like, ask most people to name some famous Austrians.
Yeah, name one famous Austrian. They all say Hitler.
Some of them will say Schwarzenegger, but then you got to say Hitler.
Yeah, he's at least number one or number two. There's no third. Like, he's never coming in number three.
He was the Third Reich.
Ooh,
okay.
Look at that.
Are we leaving out anything? I mean, was there another part of the movie that you guys want to talk about at all? I think we hit most of it.
Also fucking.
I like the fact that because like the kid dying is a big old bummer scene, but like the kid dying does change the dynamic really aggressively, and now you can get really disturbing with it because now the kid's just got shot in the head while Paul is fucking getting some lunch meat.
Yeah,
salty.
I mean, it was kind of more disturbing with the kid, though. Honestly,
dude, like when the kid was dead, I honestly took like a deep breath because I was like, all right, at least I don't have to see him get tortured anymore.
No, exactly. It was more
because they're dead. Like, they're fucking like. And when they were making the bet earlier in the movie, when they were like, the bet is If you live throughout the night, you win. If you die, or if you don't die, if you die throughout the night, we win. If you live, you win. But there were no stakes set up with that. Like, that was one of those situations where, like, I would want to ask some questions. Like,
I don't think there was a win.
No, there was a win.
Yeah, what are we wagering was the prime question.
All it was a bet between whether or not you're going to live or die throughout the night. Like,
exactly, but it was just a joke at the end of the day, because what are we wagering?
Kill him anyways.
If it's a bet, what are we wagering?
These characters remind me of? These characters, like, actually, the more we've been talking about just, like, the bets and everything, they remind me a lot of Anton Chigurh.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm saying, what are we wagering? Because, like, that was a big part of Anton Chigurh.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're playing his game when you agree. Like, that's the whole point where she doesn't agree to his coin toss at the end of that movie. Like, what's his name's, like, girlfriend? You know, she doesn't want to, like, agree to, like, play his game. Like, it's a
dude. She had the same level of high pain face of this fucking Austrian lady. She had the same fucking pain face.
Well, actually, they're kind of similar movies. Neither of them has music, and they both, like, have a really good, like, grounded way of, like, dealing with violence, I guess.
Yeah, no, but the fact that it's all just one room and a bunch of sadness just makes this one a very different flavor.
Yes, yeah. Well, and that it's like a meta thing.
Let them live, though. Because I think that's, like, also the wraparound. Like, we were gonna kill you no matter what. It was just like, maybe you guys will. Me and my friend.
Maybe they get away.
Yeah, me and my friend here wager that within 12 hours, all of you will be dead, and that's just kind of where they left it. It wasn't like, but if you're not, you'll win. It was just like, you'll be dead within 12 hours, or you won't, and then we'll just kill you after the.
It was a funny way. It was a funny game's way of, like, of saying a threat, of relaying a threat to them.
Yeah.
All they were really saying was, "We're going to kill you," but they put it in this roundabout way where it's like they're involving the people, like they're involving them in the game. And and again, like, it's about involving, like, people. It's about involving the audience.
Was there anything, like, important about them watching racing? So they did it on both of them too. It was just like
maybe there was more to it than I'm thinking, but I think the biggest way that it came out was just the fact that it was really annoying. It was really loud and really bombastic. Because, like, the fact that racing commentary and just was going on when the kid was sitting there dead, and she just fucking she sits there for 6 minutes and then just has to stand up and just go fucking turn the goddamn TV off. Which, honestly, for me, like, that was, like, one of the things, like, performance wise, like, I feel like if I was in that situation, I'd be like, fucking turn the fuck off, you know. I'd be screaming at the TV, fucking, because, like, if you ever been fumbling with the remote and you're annoyed at something and it won't turn the fuck off.
Yeah, but also, I like to think after your son's been dead and you've been held hostage, there's a sense of clarity.
Yeah, no, honestly, because, like, she is in a moment of safety there. That makes a lot, like, that is the safest she's felt in this entire time since her world got flipped upside down.
Yeah.
And everything's been taken from her. So it makes sense. It does make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was an initial impulse.
I don't like movies that depict such intense violence versus women, whether it be physical or psychological, you know.
Well, the women, that's why they put women in horror movies a lot of the time, because, like, you're fine with a dude getting killed.
Yeah. He should have been able to defend himself. That's what you do as a man.
And it's a woman and a kid, too. It's a woman. And, like, in most horror movies, you're like, don't go in there, don't go in there. And in this movie, you got no fucking options. Well, like, whatever, you're fucked.
I don't know if this was something that they were trying to say, or if it's just, like, something that, like, I kind of felt, but, like, there's also, like, the sense that I got, especially in, like, the Austrian one, where it's like the husband seems to be, like, maybe more of the baby in the relationship, or at least, like, the wife seems to be, like, the one that's the real tough one in the relationship, it seems like, because he cries.
Yeah, no, and, like, the way he reacts after his kid gets murdered, she carries him out of the room, brings him to the phone and shit. There's something about the way that guy acts that makes me think that you're supposed to think he's a piece of shit. Because I feel like if my son just died and I'm sending my wife out to save me, like, I would have to, like, he didn't say I'm sorry once. I would have fucking been like, I'm sorry. Like, I wish I could have, I let them into this house. I should have taken your side in the beginning. Like, honestly, I feel like you're supposed to think he was a piece of shit at the end of the movie.
Oh,
Not
that's all this
necessarily a
movie
piece
is.
Not necessarily a piece of shit.
Not a piece of shit. I'd say just weak. Like he was
Very
the
weak.
weaker one in the relationship.
And they
He
even
wasn't a
said
bad
that
guy.
the fucking guys who were killing them even said that at one point. They were like, "Oh, well, you're gonna say something when we go with the kid, but he won't, or whatever."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think like he was meant to be like hated. I think it was just like the trope of it's like as a man you're supposed to be able to defend your family and you trust your wife, and here is your dog just trust dogs too. If animals don't
No,
like
if your
people,
dog don't like that
just-
guy, you should listen to your pupper.
Just be at least a little on
Yeah,
edge
but what's
about
funny,
it.
well, that's the other funny thing is like even in like there's the common thing with dogs in horror movies, but even in this movie, the dog just comes off annoying. The dog doesn't come off as ominous. There's no big whoosh of music about like, oh gosh, the dog.
See, I
The
saw
dog just
that
comes
too.
off as straight up
Dude,
annoying.
that was the top
was that too.
comment on the fucking YouTube link of the American version you sent was something like, "Oh, in most dogs or in most movies, the dog knows what the fuck's going on is a classic trope, but in this movie, it just comes out like an annoying fucking dog."
Yeah, I think.
How'd you?
Yeah,
did you really?
no,
I
I
kind of
think
noticed that because the dog wasn't barking at first. It was just being kind of a dickhead. It was just being in everyone's way, like golden retrievers.
Yeah, like a
slash
dog,
German
like a
Shepherds
fucking
do.
happy little dog.
Yeah, but it's
Which
only
is
when they
kind of
started
how
showing
it
up that
would
it lost his mind and he started barking at them and losing it. That's when I was like, oh, they're the evil ones. It's not gonna be like we're gonna see.
I knew they were
anyone
evil as soon
besides
as
those
Gloves
two.
came into it.
Yeah, no, well, just as soon as like they're, I mean, really, just as soon as they're just standing there with like these people that they know, and
Scoping the
the people
place
don't
out.
come over, like that was such a well done little teaser or just like taste of things because it's like it's really simple but really weird. Just seeing them from far away, they never come up. These guys are standing there. They're not saying anything. You immediately know something's off. Like I don't. The sense of dread is really good.
Yeah, no, yeah, just like the little bits of weirdness, and you know that's always gonna pay off.
Yeah,
Like,
they play that well too. That's like the thing is how they just kind of hide themselves with the people they're doing it to. Like when they the other neighbors at the end that they go to, they pull up in their boat and they're like, "Oh, who's this?" And it's like, "Oh, this is my friend." Paul, he's staying with us for a while, and that leads them into being able to kill those
Also-
guys then later.
Also, fuck her for not being like, "Hey guys, this guy's trying to kill me. All of you guys get off the
Why
boat
don't you
real
just-
quick. This guy's trying to kill me."
Push him in the water
Yeah.
and be like, "Help, help, help!"
Literally,
No,
jump
seriously.
on the fucking boat. Jump on the boat. Grab the
No,
old
yeah.
guy. Be like, "Go kill him. Go throw him in the water."
Dwayne, though, we have to also take into account where was their daughter when that was going on. Was she still alive and like taped up in the house? Were they like still trying to like gamble on on like trying to save their daughter? We don't know.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting way of looking at it. I hadn't looked at it, but they seem pretty calm about it. And then she lets
Wait, that's not
him
the same
into
family.
her house at the end of the movie. So they
That is the
didn't know
same
these people.
family,
They
'cause
didn't know
remember,
these people.
That's where. No. That's the. Wait, am I confused?
I'm talking about
I
that.
thought
So there's
that
the
was
people on the boat who come by and they're like, "Hey, we'll come over later," or what. And
I thought
and then
you
at
were
the end
actually
of the
saying,
movie,
like,
they go to her house. So like literally,
True,
like just,
true.
you should have jumped
Oh,
on
okay.
the fucking boat and been like, "Hey, kill that guy.
She
Kill that
should
guy."
have.
No,
Yeah,
she should have pushed him in the water. She shouldn't have just
Yeah.
pushed him in the water, get them off the boat, and be like, "He's trying."
He
to kill
didn't
me,
even
he's
have a
not in my
knife.
house."
He didn't even
No.
have a knife, and they're your friends. If she just step by step
She
it.
just
If
had to
she
tell
just
him. Yeah,
fucking
no, she
full
just had to
body
tell him.
shoves him, if she just full body shoves him right there, and he fucking comes back to her with any force, they will take her side because she's a woman attacking him, and he fucking hit back. There's really she fucked it up. She could have saved everything in that scene.
No, she could
And-
have. But also at the same time, it's under like that. I don't know. It's somewhat understandable, but yeah.
It is somewhat understandable, but also the point where when they're boating away and she says, "We're thinking we might come over to your house later." What she should have said was, "We are definitely coming over to your house in 20 minutes."
No, yeah.
Yeah, like
I mean,
we'll see you guys in 30 minutes. That would have been the smart one.
Yeah.
This dude, man, all this movie was just like your fight or flight response, and it's like I fucking busted another knuckle watching this because I had to like leave and just hit my bag for a minute.
Definitely. Dude, that's why it was such a long movie for me too, because I had to take some breaks.
but that's honestly, Brant. I know you said you don't like this movie, but the fact that it's getting this kind of a response and we're talking about it, like, I mean, the fact that there's things to talk about
It's
that
good
were
that
meant to
9/11
be
happens.
talked, and they were
Let's talk about
intentional.
Tor.
Huh?
Yeah, it's all intentional. Sure, it's
Well, it was just.
It wasn't just
was
intentional,
something
but
that
it had a greater meaning behind it.
Just uncomfortable, just so uncomfortable the whole time.
It is, yeah. It was a painful. It was a painful experience. It was It was a very painful experience. Fuck, I had one more thought.
Well, I'm glad you guys are both in pain. Do you one more thing? What do you got?
God, I'm trying to remember what it was. It was before I got sidetracked by the people on the boat. But I had a thought. I had a fucking big old thought. But
Okay, well,
probably, if it comes back, it comes back.
Okay, well, I think it's time to move on to the next one. I'll start with Brant. You got a remake, Brant?
I actually wrote something down this time too.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay.
It might take a second though. This is a few paragraphs of run-on sentences. So we'll open up. First of all, I'm not really doing a remake necessarily or a new one. This is just kind of a side piece, kind of a movie that's going on in the side. So as we saw in the beginning with these guys kind of slowly moving through the neighborhood, I figured, what if we had in the same kind of like suburbia, an old veteran of a war who's kind of like becoming suicidal, and as his mind is deteriorating, he's seen all these things kind of, or hearing them happen, and as he goes through his days up till the end, all of them doing their shits on the side. So, suicidal man, Clint Eastwood, in the suburbs, just happens to be the last one on the killing spree of the two blondies. Goes about his last days as we see the... Oh, sorry, 1 second. Cats.
Not
Also,
the
I should point out they're not both blondies. If we're talking about the Austrian remake.
We're going with American right now.
Okay.
Were they both blondes in the American?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's probably some Nazi commentary that you can't make in an Austrian movie.
Just because I'm thinking of it, Brant, but one thing I did also want to say is the main bad guy in the American one, I think, is a superior bad guy. He's really good. His face is very hateable.
The tall.
That's what Monique said. Monique said that about she said that the American ones, or at least the main guy, was way more sketchy.
Yeah, no, he has a really good face. I'm talking about Paul, like the guy that has like the big
Not
lips
fatty.
and eyes, Brent. Not fatty, not tubby.
Yeah, not fatty.
Yeah,
the
the
guy
one.
who knows what's going on and doesn't just have his fat friend following along.
Yeah, no, that guy in the American one is great. I do like that. I do like him. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
We'll refer to him as Paul then, I suppose. But Paul and his fatty goes about his last few days as we see the often just on the other side of the wall killings. He believes the sounds of violence and torture to be part of his deteriorating mind at his advancing age, coupled with sins of his past. By the end of the movie, he's set up his living room to be an easy cleanup suicide, intending to play a game of Russian roulette with 6 loaded chambers to make sure there's no chance that he's going to survive. The boys show up in the pouring rain doing the whole stint, but he's happy and hospitable, thinking at least he might be able to get some good out of his life in these last moments. Even somehow having a few set of clean clothes nearby, offering them food and drink, and showing them his nice little landlight he made himself from his backpack in Vietnam. The call backpacks, you kind of know what I'm talking about. The radio transmitter backpack ones, They always have like a guy called like Gizmo or Geek, and then like they would get shot and they'd crawl over the body and go, "Whoa, yeah, napalm in my head." So, he offers them the landline to call their parents for a ride. They break the phone and insist, we'll have to spend the night. But he just refuses. He says, no, you can't spend tonight. I have tonight planned. Tonight's my night. I have plans for tonight. He has no car they can take. And so he tells them, well, you'll have to take the clothes I could provide you and your ponchos and start walking, kids. Get to your parents' house. Oh, but what about our boat? We can't just... Oh, it's fine. I'll leave the gate unlocked. You come by with your parents and pick it up. Don't bother me. I won't answer the door. And they say, and they kind of like start looking at each other before he begins walking, at which point one threatens him, getting up to his face and saying like, starting kind of more away from the funny games part of it and starts to be more of the, you're not being very hospitable. All we need to do is stay a night. In which case, Clint Eastwood just pistol whips him fucking right there. Wham! Right to the head. He's on the ground. The other one jumps up Fatty walks over, says, "You can't just kick us out. It's pouring rain out there. We need to spend the night. This is..." Boom, pistol whip. Paul gets up. "No, not Fatty." Boom, shot right to the knee. Blows it right out. Blood red spray against the vinyl lining couch. He kind of looks, sorry, I lost my place here.
You should have your script by heart. This is
Well,
an
I just wrote it.
elevator.
You clearly
I
don't
need it.
care
I
about this.
Come on.
Getting a bullet to the knee, the other one lunges towards the old man, is immediately pistol whipped and shot in the gut. His old side comes out. He pulls out a bullet, pulls the cap off of it, and pours the gunpowder into the wound. Tossing a lighter to the other over to Paul, he talks about how it would be best for him to cauterize that wound, as he may have nicked this superior mesenteric artery. Paul tries to finish with him. The other one spits at him, receiving another bullet to a new knee. "Don't lecture me. Haven't you noticed how spotless my home is? How only this room has nothing on the shelves? Plastic lining the furniture, everything prim and proper in its place. I had plans for the night before you bastards showed up. You fucking blood brats." Pistol whips again. He misses as he misses his pistol whip. The knife from the canoe scene comes up as Fatty has hidden it within one of his pockets. Stabs him into his thighs, but Clint Eastwood, being old and possibly diabetic, doesn't feel it as the knife digs into his leg. Shoots him in the head right there, blows his brains out from the back. Turns to the other one in frustration and fires a last shot into his chest, puncturing a lung as he slowly dies and bleeds out there, gasping for breath. He puts the gun under his chin and brings the hammer onto an empty shell, having intended to use it with the last one in Russian roulette as a trick against Paul. The police finally show up like they always do at the end, arresting the old man and blaming everything on him. While Paul gets to go free, believed to be a survivor of a horrific attack of a madman who killed a suburb. That's right. In the hole at the very end of this is
The
where it's all
suburb
come together,
killer.
cats. What?
I was just saying that if
He's
that's
getting
how the
pinned
news-
with everything.
It's the suburb killer.
Thanks for ruining that. Thanks for ruining my ending there, Dwayne. But
Well, you said they killed a suburb. I was just saying that's what the news would call him.
the police finally show up like they always do, arrest the old man and blame everything on him, as well as publishing all of his war crimes. That's right, he was one of those like crazy Vietnam guys that was pulling teeth out of the villagers and burning down huts and like skinning children alive, like just a full crazy sicko too. Well, poor Paul is just sitting there badly crippled on the news, trying to talk through his punctured lung about the harsh tortures that he faced at the hands of Clint Eastwood. Title screen: Clint Eastwood is Vanessa Lutz in Freeway.
Amazing. I don't know. I mean, I feel like this isn't anywhere near the same movie.
They already remade it twice. You want to remake it 3 times? It's just the same movie. It's just watching them go through and killing everyone.
No. Okay.
You're
Brant,
just
here,
Yep.
this might be the most convoluted note on a script ever, but okay. If the movie, like anything could have happened in the movie. Any sequence of events, or at least any setting could have taken place in the movie. But the overall theme of the movie is about what you reality being, or fiction being reality, right? And what you see being just as real as the real world that you're seeing. So how does that factor into your script?
I got you. So that's what brought up at the end there was how he's kind of a Vietnam vet and how he thinks a lot the sounds of torture and screaming or the occasional glimpses of blood in windows is something that he's kind of just pretending not to see because of his, sword passed over during the war crimes in his time, being a soldier. He thinks this is all the demons coming back to get him. And so he's choosing just to ignore the obvious reality that's before him in choice of the fictitious one that he's kind of purposing on himself.
Okay.
So he thinks they're
So
hallucinations.
So what's the message? What if you were to summarize what the message of your film is
Have a loaded gun ready in case you need to shoot someone.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna
It's a
go to
good message
Dwayne.
for life.
Grant, I want you to think of I want you to tell me what your movie's message on meta like fictional reality and how like we perceive media. Just get back to me on that. Okay, Dwayne.
Thanks, Professor.
Okay, all right. So here's what I got. So like I was actually thinking, because the movie ends with like a whole thing about like fucking just like we know we run the movie. We're fast forward, we're doing all this shit. We run the movie. This movie, like if you're gonna do a sequel to this movie, I think the movie that they knew they were making should have come out. So we got our protagonist, and it's some fucking like criminal chick. She's like gone through a lot of shit. She shoplifted. She fucking like accused a guy of rape. She's been through a lot of crazy shit. And she is also, because she's a crazy motherfucker, she's also seen the movie Funny Games. And she has found the love of her life, and her going on a fucking adventure with their newborn baby. And then the fucking Funny Games guys show up to her house. And she knows these guys. She's seen the movie. And they're like doing the thing. So at first she plays along because she knows what they're up to. And then they fucking come in. They come on in. They fucking like do the egg thing. She gives them the eggs. They drop the eggs. And then she keeps like playing along with it until like she tries to fucking pull some sort of move on them. Not exactly sure what sort of move on it is. But she's going to try to pull some shit to fucking kill them immediately. But they fucking press rewind on it and she's fucked. She just like knows at that point like she's in the game. And then she tries to like fucking play her card, and she's like, all right, hey, well, just leave them out of this. I know what you guys are doing. I've seen the movie. I know what you got. I know this is that we're all screwed from the beginning here. You guys can do whatever you want with me. You can rape me to death, whatever you guys want to do. Just leave my family out of this. So they just kill her family right there. They just murder her fucking family. And then she goes along with it, and they're like, but did you like the movie? And then they start getting vain about it, and like she starts fucking like playing along with it. Eventually, it goes to the point where she's going to try to turn on them because she gets the remote in their hands. Maybe she coaxes them into it. Maybe they know what's going to happen. But she gets the remote in her hands, and she presses fast forward. And when she presses fast forward, after fucking, like, it shows her killing them. And then she goes into this whole thing where, because she had a criminal background, the fucking police pin it all on her and say that she was going to, it was all her fault. Like you're saying that a couple of characters from a movie showed up and you just happened to like murder this is bullshit. None of this shit happened. All the beatings you had on yourself, you've done this before when you accused that guy of rape years ago. So it's all fucking bullshit. So she actually fucking sees how bad it's going to get for her, and she actually just hits rewind. And then they're just sitting there alive, and they're like, did you see what happened? And she's like, yeah. And then they just kill her. And that's over.
Okay. So it's like it almost seemed like Funny Games meets Adaptation for a second.
Yeah. But it's also kind of like a Human Centipede too.
Sure. Is that the one where it's like a movie?
The one where he's seen the movie before and he's trying to recreate it?
Yeah, I haven't seen that one, but
I haven't seen it either, but I know that's the plot.
Okay. So are you still like, how are you, because like I guess like the depiction is a big part of this movie. Like how are you still treating it the same way, or is it like a more like Americanized like style?
It is a little bit, it's a little bit more Americanized and a little bit more modern the way it's shot. But that's to like, in theory, in keeping with the way the first movie was made, that's to like lull you into a sense. Because if you're watching a sequel to this movie, you're going to expect it to look the same way. So it's to lull you into a sense that this is something different. This is going to be a Hollywood version of it. She's going to beat the bad guys. But like, so it's supposed to feel more Hollywood at the beginning. And then it's supposed to feel more thrillery at the beginning where she knows what's going on. But then it eventually turns itself on it. And she just like realizes that her best option is to get murdered, and they knew that from the beginning.
If this is a sequel, and like there's already 2 Funny Games before this, and the sequel is based, like it sounds like the sequel is mostly original Funny Games. Also,
yeah,
I'm just going off the original because in my opinion, the American version of it is really vestigial. Like it doesn't matter.
True. No, true, but like I'm still saying like. It sounds like at least 30% of your movie is the original Funny Games.
Well, it starts off, it's playing off on the same, it's like Back to the Future 2, where it goes through the exact same plot, but now there's a different lens on it. then it feels like you can do something about it. It makes it so that feeling of dread is like entirely like a removed, because you think that she's got a fighting chance. But then as soon as she realizes that at the end of the day, like, they knew what they were doing, they knew they were coming to her, they knew it was like, they have the fast forward, but they've already checked this shit out. It's all over at the end of the day. Like, so as soon as you realize that even with all the powers of the world to be able to try to fight against this, it's going to happen anyway.
So then is like the point of the movie that like is it just like a nihilist perspective where it's just
I think
like
it's the exact same
perspective.
I think it's the exact same perspective where at the end of the day they control the movie and they want you to die. Like, it's the exact same perspective on that. It's just a more modern lens of it, where it's trying to like tell the audience for most of the watching that you can change your reality. You can make this better. But then at the end of the day, because it's the same movie, because it's an extension of the same story, like, it's still just like, you will be destroyed if we decide you will be destroyed. Which it's the exact same message, but I think bringing it into this lens where you think you can change your reality modernizes it.
Okay. Kind of like what you have there. Well, okay, I'm gonna go to Brant, but tell me how like what's a unique way that this movie is like, I don't know. I like the way in the original movie, like it makes it so that you feel as an audience member like you're responsible for what's happening because you chose to watch this movie, I guess.
I don't just like, before you go off to Brant, like yeah. I think that what I have actually like sort of does that, because like you as an audience member now you feel like you are justified to root for the person. But then as soon as it all becomes real, you realize that your rooting was even more in vain than in the first time. At least this time you felt like you had a chance, but as soon as the fucking rubber hits the road, you realize that that was even more fucking heartbreaking because you thought you had a chance. And then it's all taken away from you as soon as they decide to take it away from you.
Is like the point that like you shouldn't have had hope in the movie, I guess?
Well, isn't that the point of the first one?
No, I feel like the point of the first one is that like you're going into this movie thinking it's a torture porn movie, or thinking it's like something where you get to watch people in misery and you get to watch them go through horrible things and you don't have to go through it. And the point is that like it's just like you're allowing this to happen, and it's not just because you can like you feel like you're separated from it doesn't mean that it's not anymore of a reality.
In that way, I guess I am kind of going on a different narrative or a different like specific theme there, because what the first movie by its focus on the violence and the torture, it is fucking saying something about the torture porn genre. Whereas what I'm trying to do as making a sequel and a remake or whatever is I'm trying to say something about what the first movie was doing. Like, I'm trying to say something about what that, because like if I just go back to torture porn, the torture porn is kind of it's kind of vestigial in this one. It's kind of like on the outside of what it is.
Saying something about torture porn.
If you want to make it sound fucking lame as shit, yeah.
No, I mean, Brant just kind of hit the nail on the head. Honestly, I'm trying to like
I'm saying less about torture porn than this. I'm saying more about the feelings I had when I was watching this movie, where like the torture porn is going to happen. You know it's going to happen. It still happens in this movie, but it's not as much of the point, because you going into someone who's watching fucking Funny Games 2, Funnier Games, or whatever it's fucking called, like as soon as if you're going into that movie, if you're going into a torture porn movie that you haven't seen before, you have expectations, right? If you're going into a Funny Games movie that's a sequel to Funny Games, you have expectations of Funny Games, which already made that commentary. So now I'm commentating on what the audience watching that movie must want and must hope or might want based on the characters that are being built into it, that movie to be. Because like already commenting on torture porn has already been done way better than I can do in this movie.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, but like it feels like the movie had like an idea that was the gas that the movie ran off of, and you're going off of the fumes of that movie. Like it doesn't. I'm like it doesn't feel like there's like an inch. Like I don't know. Like a something that you're grasping on that's like trying to be said, other than like the original Funny Games and how people felt, I guess.
Well, what I believe you're grasping on is just the experience of the audience. And you just, like, this time, if you've seen the first movie, you have expected nothing but death. And this time you think there might be a chance for life. And just, it's taken away from you.
Okay.
It's only taken away from you once she wins.
Okay. Well, even in that case, then, I guess I'm gonna after I go to Brant, tell me how you're going to market that to people who enjoyed the original Funny Games, because it doesn't seem like something that the original Funny Games fans would like go and pay to see, knowing about Funny Games.
How did they market?
This is Funny Games. Gay.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like if there's people who are legitimate
games?
Huh?
How did they market Funny Games?
Well, I feel like they probably marketed Funny Games as both an artsy film for people who would be like, "Oh, I get it," and then as a shocker, torture porn thing for people that are just going to want to go into it for that, and then get like really fucking mad.
Right,
I feel like it was probably
action figures. I'm thinking action figures.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay,
just go to
tell me what your marketing plan is.
Tell
me what your marketing plan is after Brant. Okay.
I think we're Monopoly. Can we do a Monopoly game with them?
Oh, yeah. Dude, Funny Games Monopoly.
Life. Oh, no, Funny Games Life would be really good.
I own all of fucking Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo. I don't know. There's no good jokes there. Keep going.
Yeah, Life or maybe Sorry.
I think Sorry is probably the best one.
Yeah, no, that's not bad. Okay,
Shoots and ladders. It's all shoots. It's all.
I can't remember what my note was for you, but
you want me to talk about the media portrayal of like how we see this. And I actually kind of had one.
Yeah.
You know how like I brought up that this Clint Eastwood character is kind of a horrific monster who did like horrific things in the war, and how I also brought up the fact that a lot of like any violence we see or like kind of any of those moments would literally be through like a wall. So you'd have like the kind of cut screen where you have like him, like maybe pressed up against him. Maybe he's like gardening or he was visiting, or maybe like we finally get to the point where his little delusions that are getting into his head finally start getting to him, and he starts doing the real soldier thing of like he's sneaking around and he's listening to people scream, but then when he looks up, like they've already moved the people away because they're aware that he's there too. And so due to the fact of his war crimes and all this stuff, and at the end, when the police come and get him, the way that's going to be turned around is we're going to kind of have a few of those scenes of like the psychological torture, where we're going to like see him occasionally flicker into place for them. So instead of like having them, like cut to the family that they're torturing, they'll cut back to them and it'll just be him standing there instead for just a second before like it's them again. And so that's going to translate later into when Paul is surviving and he's telling his story. That's when we like kind of pan away as the news is talking to them, and then we see pushing his wheelchair is Fatty, who's sitting there smiling, and how they're going over all the horrific crimes that Clint Eastwood did to these people, and how it's like now as they kind of like go over, it's cutting to him like actually physically doing it, because as far as the world is concerned right now, anything that the news or media says often becomes real. That's the reality, is whatever the news says, no matter how wrong they were or how badly they fucked it up, what they say goes. And so now that these two are saying before the news and are able to like, they have the stage to tell their play upon, they're able to manipulate it themselves farther than like just the antimatter and matter and realities. It's like, oh, we're
now we get to see what just is now reality, because that's what everyone believes.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, I like that actually. That's good. I feel
people turning Asian too occasionally, as he's like waving to them in the beginning. Like he sees like a young daughter and the mother, and it's like a brief flash as he sees them like covered in blood and Vietnamese or whatever, and he's like, I'm Clint Eastwood and I need to have a drink. But yeah, the big one that I really wanted to pull out is the ending, where he tries to kill himself because he has the 6 bullets. That's a Dirty Harry reference too, where he shoots the one in the gut, shoots the one in the knees, takes the cap off of it. That's 3 bullets. Tells him to cauterize it. Shoots him in the knee again. Shoots him in the head. Shoots him in the head. That would have been 5 if he didn't cauterize the wound. So he goes for what he thought was 6, but that's already spent. And that's how.
Okay, so one thing. So, is this movie also like a sequel to Funny Games? Like, what is this movie?
No, it's a side along. So like I said, it would just be
Side along. Okay.
like we saw like in the beginning with Paul and Fatty, with the other neighbors, and then it moved to them, and then moved to another house. So like Clint Eastwood lived in the suburbs, and all these murders are going along through these houses, and that's why he thinks he's also insane. It's like he's going to go visit these houses. He knows people are there. He's visited them for years, and suddenly it's a dead, empty house. You know, it looks like struggles, and he's seen struggles like this before back when he was in the war, and he's just like breaking down now. He sees bodies, okay, you know, or maybe they're clean. Well, actually, did they clean up any of the bodies really?
No, they didn't do any
They
of
didn't
that.
have to.
I think it was
They didn't have to.
just her. It was just her that they cleaned up by Dawson in the lake. But yeah, so he's coming around with these bodies, and he's leaving all of his evidence, and he's leaving all of these like clues that they are able then to turn and point to him and say, O.J. Simpson is innocent. The perpetrator is still at large.
I like the idea, Brand. I almost feel like it would be better if it wasn't even a side along to Funny Games. If it just kind of took like the funny, like some of the stuff that I don't know, took the ideas in Funny Games and just became. It was just a different movie entirely. Honestly, like
Well, Eastwood, it
Well,
makes
then
you
at
feel
that
like
point,
it's
you're
Gran
just making
Turismo.
Squid Game. You're just making something inspired by Funny Games.
Yeah, so that's why it's got to be kind of the side.
what's Squid Game inspired by?
Honestly, dude, like that was one thing. You guys haven't seen Squid Game, but when I was watching Funny Games, I was like, the dudes who made Squid Game totally saw fucking Funny Games. Because
Really?
it's the same. It's the same exact vibe of just playing children's games into torture. That's basically what the show is.
Okay. Well, yeah, but that's like not really the point of Funny Games.
No, well, it's not the point of Squid Game either. But the vibe of it, the method used to disturb you is very. It feels like they were definitely inspired by it.
What's the point of Squid Game?
Well, there's a lot of points to Squid Game.
Oh,
it's like it's
okay.
a fucking 9
I've
episode
heard it was
thing.
good.
Dude. It's Squid Game is really good. I actually really like Squid Game.
Yeah, I heard it was good, and then I heard like the ending sucked, and whenever I hear that,
The
I just
ending
don't feel like
was
it's
a little
time.
disappointing, but when I look back on it, I watched it like 6 months ago, and like when I look back on it, all I remember is how awesome the story was, and like how crazy the scenes were and shit. It was just good. It was a good
Kim
product.
Jong-un. I was like, Kim Jong-un,
Okay.
why are we playing shoots and ladders? About.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I like that idea, Brand. I don't really have like a concrete like note I would make. I just feel like almost like it would be better if it was just kind of like its own movie and not like a side along. It feels
But I
it
want
still
the
feels weird to
retribution
have a
of them
side
getting
along.
at least hurt at the end. I just want Clint Eastwood to shoot them. I just
Sure.
want,
Yeah, but I want Clint Eastwood to shoot him in every movie. That doesn't make this Funny Games.
Well, sure.
Honestly, it would be more Funny Games if Clint Eastwood didn't get to shoot him.
And you know what? You're not the
Yeah, that's
host of this,
true,
but-
Grant. I think if we're gonna make it side along or whatever, like I do think the beginning would need like some cleaning up because that just didn't feel like it was in the same vein at all. I guess I like the ending a lot. I just like something needs to change in the beginning. I think, especially like just them getting shot immediately. Like I like that in a way, but like maybe do it differently. I don't know.
That's not the beginning. That's the end. Like that's the end of the movie is when he kills them supposedly. And then
It
he
seemed
gets
like it
clean.
happened like right out of the gate.
Yeah, because this guy like brought it up pretty much immediately, and then I was like, "But what's happening in the sidelines?" You know. Well, and also because I bring up the fact that he's suicidal and going to kill himself pretty early. In
Yeah,
there, so-
well, you kind of
Well, you're
summarized it.
expecting
Like
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you summarized the whole movie in like a few paragraphs. So I guess like maybe that was further along in the movie, but like
it's a Chekhov's gun. And you're right. I didn't like develop a lot of the beginning of it because it's tough to kind of to do a narration, to do something kind of like this where it does require a lot of sit down and just character, not development, but like destruction, just like actually like tearing apart a character in all of its being.
I mean, in that case, Brant, actually maybe have showing them getting killed works because like I kind of like the idea of like the audience gets to feel like we get to actually have that gratuitous violence where we get to feel
it's
good
full
about
Clint
the
Eastwood,
fact that
too.
they're getting we get to feel good about the fact that they're getting shot.
Yeah, like pistol whipping, shoots him in the knees. He's crying and like
Yeah.
You know, the other one's like bleeding out. He's like you know. and
Yeah,
he's whipping
but
them
then
and
in
stuff.
reality, like he's the one getting framed for everything, and what the public is going to see and believe is entirely different.
As you see at the
Okay.
end, like even with like the knife and stuff, it's like we tried to fight back, we even stabbed him, but he just kept going, and then you know, it's like that where it's just like the struggle because it's all planned, and you see it at the end of this fucking movie too, where it's like, oh, they know what's happening, they know what's gonna happen too.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
They're directing
okay.
it.
I can live with that. That's
That's
pretty
all
good.
I can do
Okay.
without saying like, what if we just did it in Spanish?
Yeah. What?
Well,
Yeah.
we
No.
shot for shot
I was kind of
recreated with
wondering if anybody would
Spaniards.
say that. I was wondering if anyone would say, like, let's maybe just do this one in like, Brazilian.
You know
or-
what I was thinking? I was thinking people would say, like, going back and, like, because one of the things that ruins pretty much every, like, horror franchise is when you go and explain where the scary person came from. And I think that would have been the biggest thing to ruin it, is if you went back and, like, explained, like, this is why they got the remote and this is why they did the thingy.
It's a fairly
Yeah.
odd pair.
It is, well, it could be a fairly, it could also
That
be
would
like
ruin
one of the
everything.
remakes I initially thought about was doing Click. Just to make it so it's Click
Oh, God.
plus Funny Games.
Smart fuck.
Yeah.
Never in Funny
Jesus
Games.
Christ. Yeah.
I thought about it, but I have such a problem with doing an origin story because it's so spooky in the way the movie does it. If you origin story it, it ruins it. But I was thinking that there's a lot of good options if you go the Click route.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah. But I like what you got, Brant. What do you have anything more, Dwayne?
Well, Brant or Katz, whoever you
Wait.
are, the little blonde one. All you asked me to do is give you a marketing strategy, and like if you go off the story I'm trying to tell, the entire story is marketed towards people who enjoyed fucking Funny Games, and like people.
Yeah, and it sounds like they would hate it. Was my problem.
Well, that's I don't think they would hate it because like
I would hate it. Sounds like something that sucks. Honestly.
Really?
I mean,
You didn't
that
like,
was
you
just
didn't
my
like the, I thought the idea of it was really cool because the idea of it is like you're going through the exact same motions, but the motions are based on of what you want from the movie. When you watch that movie, you really want, if you're going to make a sequel of it, you want something to change with the dynamic between the people who are running the games and the people who are being used in the games. And I was trying to give you an example of what would happen if somebody might have known the game, but the fact that they knew the game, they thought they knew the game, is the thing that got them killed.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like just rehashing the old movie and taking out all of the commentary like that it has.
Well, the commentary I'm giving you is the commentary on the audience watching it. Because the audience watching it is going to be wanting a new Funny Games and just like more torture porn. And then it like the torture porn gets fucking
That's what the audience watching it is going for.
What?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. I like maybe if you're going for like the shock value, like if you're going for the low IQ people that watch Funny Games and like just say like, oh yeah, I like it when people are in misery, like maybe, but like I think at this point
you've misunderstood the thing I'm pitching at you, which is probably because of the pitch that I've given. It's probably a fault on the way I pitched it. But I don't think it's going for the low IQ motherfuckers. I think this is a thing that is actually like going at the fact that people who watch Funny Games are looking for, if you're going to try to do a sequel of it, like what can you do? What can you genuinely do with an actual sequel of it? Like, and in my opinion, you go off of the fact that like it was a movie that ended up being made because it was a meta commentary. You go off the fact that it was a movie that actually ended up being made. People saw that movie, and then they started trying to kill the people who saw the movie. And when those people they win at who saw the movie, they realized the people who watched the movie are fucking crazy, fucked up people a lot of the time. So they use that against them and use the fact that they can those people think they know the games. Those people think that they can play the game against them. But then as soon as they grab the remote and hit the fast forward button, they realize because they are the fucked up kind of people that watch Funny Games, they have a fucking rap sheet, and they are going to get fucking killed for having been the people who watched that. And the people who fucking did, the kind of people who would do that. And they get destroyed for it. You have all the hope for the protagonist, but then the protagonist ends up not only, because you'd think like as soon as she gets the remote, she can save this. She can change it all. She can play with the buttons and fucking kill these demons that do this game on fucking non-deserving people. And as soon as she does it, she realizes the game was rigged. There is no way to win the funny games. There is no way because they are above it.
I have some more appreciation just from that explanation. But like, I guess the main problem, and it was like I had the same problem with Brant's even, is just like the idea of like a side along or a sequel to funny games just like is such a like I don't know, that just doesn't like I can't.
Well, that's
like,
why
if we
the
were to
sequel
actually,
that
like
the
think
sequel
about
that
that
I'm
as a production, that doesn't make any sense.
The sequel that I am going at is something that isn't trying to make a joke out of the original movie. It's just trying to like expand on the idea of what you would be expecting after being someone who saw what that movie was. And you're expecting nothing but the craziest fucking torturiest shit, like the most. But it just the best way I can think of to make it another meta commentary, another visual or another media commentary, is by going on the audience itself and just saying you watched this movie because you wanted this, and then all of that gets thrown back into your face at the end.
It's subverting their expectations.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to pull a little what's his name? Ryan Johnson. I'm just trying to Ryan Johnson it up. I'm pulling my Ryan Johnson out of my fucking cactus.
Okay, I see what you're doing. It's not bad. I still feel like it's huffing the first movie's farts. I'm gonna give it to Brant.
All right.
I wanted to be really petty this week actually, and just not give it to anyone since I didn't get the dub the past 2 weeks. But I won't be that petty. I'll give it to Brant.
I mean, this is my first L in a long time, and like this is the first time I've been really, really confident in my idea in a while. And I just realized that liking what you're doing is a sheer sign of nobody else liking what you're doing.
I think this is my losing streak break. I was basically like, I haven't won one in like 2 months.
I don't think I've won one in a while either. So there you go.
Well, Brant snatches the dub. It's a fair dub. I believe in my story. I think it's a good story. Because it wasn't snatched up by Cats Productions, I will probably make it my own movie at some point in the future. Honestly, but do you think I would have done better if I went at the Click perspective? Because there were some funny ideas in the Click perspective.
I think it would have been better. Yeah. I mean, I just don't like the idea of like a funny game sequel. Honestly.
Okay, so you could have said that at the beginning. You told me to come up with marketing ideas. You fucking retard.
Well, yeah. I mean, I could have just told you come up with an entirely different idea. I was trying,
and then I would have gone hard on the Click idea.
Scrap heap. I was trying to salvage your scrap heap there.
I thought it was good. I was so into that idea. Like whatever. Like yet again, dude. Anytime you love what you're doing, that's a good sign that everybody else is gonna spit on it.
Good. I spit. Press S in the chat, everyone.
Press S to spit. Press S to spit.
Brant, what's your dumbass movie? I know you said it was going to be dumb.
Well, I have two. Hey, Dwayne, are you really insisting on being the first one to pick an Ernest or a Jim Varney movie?
No. I am so down to get anything with Jim Varney in my soul, especially if it's Ernest, but I am down for any Jim Varney at any time.
We're going to watch. Oh, man, shoot. Okay, let me fucking flip a coin, because I just watched. I watched the one I want to do, which is called Dead Heat, and it's about a cop that becomes a zombie.
Is Jim Varney?
Hell yeah!
But
don't even mention his name if there's no Jim Varney coming. You're going to break my heart.
Statue of Liberty or Some Dead President.
Up to you, boss.
Yeah, I don't know.
Varney.
I mean,
we're going Jim Varney. It's Dr. Otto and the Riddle of the Gloom Beam.
Dr. Otto and the Riddle of the Gloom Beam.
Dr. Otto.
Great title. Okay, and he's actually Ernest in the movie.
Yeah, I was about to say that sounds. I think that was an early Ernest.
And it's on YouTube. Hell yeah.
And Tubi.
Oh boys. Well, might as well watch it on YouTube then, because there's probably no ads.
Or you just like put ad blocker.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna watch it on YouTube.
But if you guys want to, Dead Heat's also pretty funny. It opens with like
I
One
liked
of the
the I
best.
liked the cover. I looked it up right before I typed this Dr. Otto one, and they had a great cover. I will say.
Do you have any idea how much joy you have just given me by recommending an Ernest movie I've never seen?
Yeah.
Do you have
I
any
like
idea
this
how
one.
much
It's
joy you
silly.
have imparted on me? All the sorrow
is
that
a little-
Funny Games just gave me has been removed by the joy that you just imparted upon me by recommending a fucking Ernest movie.
Well, also,
Just-
it's just like a lighthearted movie. I think with this Midnight Cowboy and Midnight Meat Train, we've been on a pretty depressing binge.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I got a Dark Boy for the next one as well. So like,
And Dead Heat
Oh,
was
of course you fucking do.
Dead
Yeah,
Heat's great. It's
yeah.
funny because
That's
like
right.
I think it starts with a bank robbery and they literally shoot the bank robbers like 60 times each. It's just they keep unloading into them.
Well, don't give too much away.
Yeah,
If it's that good, maybe save it. Put it in your pocket for a future.
It's not good.
Future episode.
It's bad. It's really
But
stupid.
good
fine.
for what
But
we're
Well, that's
doing.
one thing. That's one thing that we like. I always like good bad movies are really good to do on this podcast. Like I chose this movie was tough because it is kind of like a very perfect film for what it is. So there
Well,
wasn't
even
much to add.
though
to
there was a fair
necessarily.
amount of dick sucking on this movie, there wasn't that much dick sucking. There was actually some interesting commentary to be had. Like when
Well, I was glad
when we're
I
gonna
was
watch
happy you
Cuties.
guys- Yeah, well, yeah, sure. No, I thought I was happy Branson seemed to love it at least because, like, if everyone liked it, then we would all just be a bunch of sickos probably. But
Yeah, no, it
You know,
shows that Brand is the
people
least
like
sicko person here.
apparently,
And yet I'm the one that says some of the more fucked up stuff.
Nobody's, it's great. Nobody said nigger once this whole podcast.
ah, we got into the Jews though. I think didn't we?
I don't think so. Not in any specific way. Just in a Kyrie Irving
Oh
way.
no, we were just talking about Uncle H. That's all it was. Okay, never mind.
No, we were just talking about Austrians. That was on the table.
Next week is Dr. Otto and the Riddle of the Gloom Beam, starring Jim Varney.
Oh
1980.
man, I actually just realized that you were saying that it says beam. I thought that was the Gloom Bean. And
That's a
even
different
better.
movie. That's a very different movie.
Yeah, that's a very different.
That's about a woman with a sad clitoris.
I was just going to say it's a sad porno of a woman masturbating.
Yeah, no, that bean's been flicked one too many times.
As
I'm
the-
so sick of getting flipped
that is the
around
world's
down here.
saddest
I'm gonna head
clitoris.
off and go to I'm gonna go to California and become a big Hollywood star. I'm gonna be one of those porn star clitorises.
And that was
Ooh,
the
this is directed
bean
by
that
John
got
Cherry.
flicked one too
This
many
is-
times.
John Cherry III was the director of Dr. Otto and the Gloom Beam.
I believe that's the feller that done directed all of them Ernest films.
Is this,
This
wait?
isn't
What is
Ernest.
this, Grant? This is
An early
the
Ernest,
film
right?
series-
This is like a pre-Ernest
No.
Ernest, right?
Actually,
No, it's
this is of the film series No Hood I Mean. Hey Vern, it's my family album.
Yeah, no, that was the pre-Ernest Ernest. That was before the Ernest
Oh,
movies.
okay.
Hey Vern was originally some fucking commercials that Jim Varney just kind of invented, and then the dude who directed those commercials became the director of the Ernest movies.
Man, that is such a success story.
It
right
really
there.
is, dude. That's why I'm
that's an
so in
actual
love with
American
Ernest.
success story.
Ernest is such a
Well, this one,
fucking
I think.
success story.
It's
John Cherry III looks very much like a John Cherry III.
I think that's it. That boy looks like a cherry, damn right.
He looks like a